are badly needed and long overdue, a controversial podcast about Colorado Springs. It's controversial because it makes sense. I'm your host, Nick Raven, and joining me virtually to my left, but to your right, is my co-pilot navigator and epic TikToker who is going to get the second TikTok here, Emily Lewis, researcher. How are you doing?
I am doing really well, Nick. Enjoying the the Labor Day weekend shenanigans.
The Shens?
Yes, it's so much fun. It's my favorite time of year to be downtown.
Yeah, it seems like it's really bustling. I was taking the dogs out this morning, and I had that first wicked chilly breeze of fall, which is imminent.
I know, I'm so excited.
And it's like, yeah, I guess that's fine.
Well, though, being in the Springs, we have the flirtation of fall, and then we're gonna have second summer.
Yeah, we're gonna be. I remember when we moved back on November 3rd of 2015, and
day before my birthday.
Oh, there you go. Well, happy birthday! From 2015 to 7 years. I can't believe I've been back for 7 years. But I went on a huge ass walk around the north side, around Briargate, Chapel Hills Mall, stuff like that. And it was like 84 degrees. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the next day it snowed.
Yeah.
This last season, we didn't have like any measurable snow until New Year's Eve. It was very, very strange.
Well, and even then it was barely measurable. We didn't get any actual snow until February?
Yeah. Because it was a dusting until then. And then there's like, all right, it's half an inch. There we go. It was really sad. And there was that one day it was like April or May when we had the two urban fires like that same day, which was very stupid. Those people were very stupid.
Yes.
But then it kind of didn't become the firestorm that I feared it could have been. And
thankfully this year we managed to stave off the, mountains are on fire season.
Yes. Thankfully so.
Positive.
Yeah. It's a positive development when the mountains aren't on fire. I'm going to make myself a little bit bigger as Kirby just gets really hungry. There we go. Fantastic. So today we're going to be talking about the art downtown and kind of how it came about and all the different things there. I'm going to let you kind of lead that off, and I will peg you with questions as we go.
All right. Okay, so the art in downtown Colorado Springs has really become it's almost a tourist attraction when these new art pieces are unveiled. And the way it started back in the 90s is when Colorado Springs really got hit with that sprawling urban growth kind of disease that we have now. To the point that apparently some people were calling it Sprawlerado Springs.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Because we cover such a massive
space
land area. And with that came all these subdivisions that are connected with, these crappy little strip malls. And there wasn't really a hub, even downtown. There wasn't a hub for any kind of significant culture in the Springs. Everybody kind of did their own thing in their own little, bloops of space, but nothing was really centralized. Yeah. So this brought about, people became afraid that the population of Colorado Springs would lose the sense of community, which is something we've talked about, is starting to bring people in as a whole community, not a north community or south community or whatever else.
Not the like Interquest and then the
Mm-hmm.
First and Main and then the East and then the Southeast.
Yeah, exactly. So Judy Noyes, who at that point in time was the co-owner of the Chinook Bookshop, spearheaded a plan to kind of address this and figure out, okay, what do we need to do to kind of create a cultural center for Colorado Springs.
The Chinook Bookshop, by the way, no longer in existence, right?
Yes.
Yeah, sadly.
Yeah.
Not that long ago.
Yeah, and they basically, she wanted to create a place that was not just a retail kind of area, kind of district. And what became of this was art on the streets. Now, this all started in 97. So a lot of years ago at this point.
This is right as I got here.
Yep. And it took 2 years for art on the streets to actually become a thing. Funding has always been a concern about how to pay these artists to, for an installation of their work. Judy Noyes, again, who was the chair of the Community Ventures Board of the Downtown Partnership, came up with a solution to have the artists loan their artwork to the city instead of the city buying it and putting it out.
Okay.
And then the very first year that this happened, in 99, it featured 20 separate sculptures displayed just in random spots downtown. Now, every year they choose the city, I don't really know who chooses these things, but somebody somewhere chooses one of these art pieces to be purchased by the city, and it becomes a permanent part of our downtown.
So they're loaning it out the artists are loaning it to be a permanent fixture.
Yes, they're loaning it out it's essentially a giant art competition.
Okay.
Whoever wins gets their piece bought by the city, and it becomes a permanent part of the city's outdoor art collection.
Okay, so in the competition they actually do buy it. Like it'd be like, hey, cool artist, give us your thing for free, and then it's for us.
Yeah, no, they actually do purchase. The city does purchase the artwork from the artist.
Gotcha.
And the very first winner was Richard Jagoda, and it was the Bison Americanus. Okay. Now you know which one I'm talking about. The big giant bison there in the median of Pikes Peak Avenue.
Right.
So that was the
I have a picture of it.
Yeah, that was the very first permanent piece of art that was purchased because of art on the streets.
Okay.
We've had artists come in from all over the world, and also local artists. Nick and I participated in an art piece a couple of months ago from a local artist.
Right.
That was a lot of fun. I can't actually. Nick, can you tell?
I am listeners? Trying. It's the one. It's exactly the one by the Einstein Bagels, and I'm trying to remember her name.
The artist is Hootenanny.
Hootenanny, yeah, exactly. But it's the one on right next to it's the painted one, the mural with all the triangles and stuff. Alongside the Einstein Bagels along that wall.
Yeah, the from you to you.
Yes, exactly. And so you'd get markers and write in a message you wanted to tell yourself. Or you could tell yourself.
Yeah, something you needed to hear.
Yeah.
Now, I'll be honest. One of my favorite bits of the permanent art that we have downtown are the Humpty Dumptys.
And they're everywhere.
I love the Humpty Dumptys. They put them in the craziest places. And every time I see them, they make me smile. I love them so much.
There's like one or two over at First and Main too, which is like, oh, okay.
Yep. Okay. Well, because it looks like with the Humpty Dumptys, they're essentially doing like what they did with the butterflies.
Mm-hmm.
Because, the butterflies are gifted to these artists who then create an art on the butterfly, and then it gets put somewhere.
Yeah, they're actually doing a exhibition here soon of the new ones.
Yeah, I love the butterflies too. Honestly, I just really do.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, back to the history. Oh, Jesus.
The internet, what a thing.
It's weird.
And I will say that, like, there are so many really cool pieces along the medians and stuff like that. There's the one of the deer, which it was from a Korean artist, as I understand.
I love that one. I'm going to see if I can find it.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring it up now.
Because that one is gorgeous.
I have been dreaming to be a tree. And a couple years back, someone actually came and, like, snapped off the antler.
Yeah, they broke it, and it had to be repaired.
Yeah, the artist, like, came out to come fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And this was 2019, yeah. But it's a beautiful thing. It's at Cascade in Colorado.
Yeah, it's right there on the. If you're headed west on Colorado, it's right there on the median. On your right-hand side. It's beautiful. It is ethereal.
Yeah.
It is so incredibly beautiful. And then, of course, my very, very favorite would be the Mermaid.
Yes.
That is on top of one of the buildings down there by
the Bridge Gallery.
As you go across the bridge on Colorado.
Yeah, going west away from the Palmer Center.
Yeah, and she's amazing. She's also my very favorite.
Also terrifying.
Well, that's the whole point. That's why I love her.
Yeah. Hey, here's Kirby. Hello, Kirby. How you doing, buddy? You just want to be the star, don't you? Yes, you do.
He wants to show us his butthole.
He sure does. That's how we do. But yes, a lot. So the Art in the Streets is a really cool program. It was really kind of the beginning of the downtown revitalization, kind of the rehabilitation.
It absolutely was. In fact, Art on the Streets. Come to me. Thank you. It actually created. We now have a dedicated. Hold on. I got to figure out how to say this.
Mm-hmm.
Let me find the right thing here. Okay. Downtown Colorado Springs is actually a dedicated and certified creative district.
Yes, along with Manitou. Yep.
And that is all in part to, first and foremost, Art on the Streets.
Mm-hmm.
Which then brought in these incredible galleries, which also then helped create First Fridays.
Yeah.
And I know that you have been taking part in some First Fridays here lately, Nick.
Yes, I have.
So tell us about that.
Of course, yeah. So in my role as reporter at the Colorado Springs Independent, I took on the art and entertainment beat, the culture. And I'll be so a little back up here. Growing up, and I know if you've been listening to this podcast, you know that like I'd never got downtown. Like we went to the Pikes Peak Center once for the Nutcracker one year, but other than that, we avoided downtown. I'd never been to the Colorado Springs Pioneers Museum, and I definitely didn't know about the arts. Down here, even because there were artists there. There was the Fine Arts Center. The PPCC has had their downtown campus for a while there as well. But it wasn't until I got into my role here that I started getting just this barrage of emails and updates about what shows were going on. Now, when I lived in Phoenix, I had an art friend, and she would tell me about the downtown Phoenix First Friday Art Walk, because it's just block after block after block of galleries and art shops. And Phoenix is obviously this massive city, metropolitan area, so their Art Walk is pretty deluxe. Like, you can go just a couple blocks and you see so much stuff. But here in Colorado Springs, it has not been so. Now, there have been galleries that have been here for decades, like the Bridge. I just went there last night and saw their fiber display, which is going through this month. But there are other ones that have popped up, and there are a lot of smaller galleries, like through downtown. There are a number of galleries that you can go to, and there is the Avenue Creative Corridor that is like, it's a cross-promotional entity between downtown Colorado Springs, Old Colorado City, and Manitou Springs, where you can basically take the 3-line or just go up and down Colorado Avenue. And it's not really an art walk, it's more of an art hike, because it's kind of a distance between when you go from downtown Colorado Springs past all these residential areas, and then you're up at like Bancroft Park, OCC, and then you've got to go past all of the Safeway and Emerald Fields and all that to get to the art stuff at the MAC and that. But it is this kind of cross-pollination of galleries and displays and that. So every the first Friday of every month, they pretty much do it all year round. I think there's some months they'll cut out, like in January or February when it gets during winter, when they're like, that's a little tougher. But there is a cluster, and I kind of wish there was more of more of a dedicated map about where to go, where to be. Because if you go to peakradar.com, you can, they have a specific tab for First Friday, and they list like 100 or so, like a lot of galleries and places that will have First Friday events. They'll have art on display and stuff like that. Yeah. And not everyone participates, and not everyone sends up their listings, because there's like a number of local listing places where you can send your events to, and that gets confusing. So
yes, there's certainly can.
There's kind of an inconsistent approach to First Fridays and where to go and who to go. So it's been kind of our goal-ish at the Indie to try and like curate that and say like, well, here's some stuff that's going on.
Yeah. Well, something I was not aware of. There are almost 230 arts-related businesses located in downtown Colorado Springs.
There is a high per capita art scene here that I don't think gets communicated. And adding to that, because I was talking with Claire Swinford at the B. Vredenberg Foundation a little while ago, and she said that the kind of the art density is higher than even Denver, even downtown Denver, because there are schools here. Because you've got UCCS, you've got CC, all right there. Bemis at the Fine Arts Center. You've got all these schools tied in with all these galleries, so there's a density there of artwork downtown. And so you don't think maybe of Colorado Springs as this artistic mecca or center or whatever, but in turn, it turns out with everything that's going on downtown, it is actually. There is a lot of art downtown. It's just I don't think there's really no kind of ownership from anyone else, like as far as politicians,
absolutely.
Stuff like that, or from the mayors to celebrate it. There's nothing in arts in the minds of the mayor's office.
I think my favorite part about watching Colorado Springs become this creative kind of hub is it has changed the face of what Colorado Springs means to people. Colorado Springs was always, well, not always, but in recent history has always been seen as such a very conservative kind of place.
Right.
But then you start bringing in all of these artists and these creative type people. And that rapidly changes how people live, where people live, how they vote,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And it's so for me, the effect of the art on the streets, besides the fact that it's amazing and beautiful to look at, and the talent of these artists is just awe-inspiring, but they're also breathing this new life into Colorado Springs.
There goes the dog. Yeah. And so when you have a city that is totally developed around not having art, I've heard anecdotes of people, especially like developers or whatever, that would avoid downtown because they thought it was just this grungy core of bigger buildings, and But
okay,
then
you talk. I'll be right back.
Yeah, and then when you realize that there's art going on, there's culture going on around downtown, it's like it's an event space. It's a place where people can get together. And you can see art. It's a. I'm going back up, but like you go to Estes Park, right? And you have that main drag where you're going from shop to shop, seeing all these artists and stuff like that. And I had that experience as a kid of the mountain towns where you go see the paintings and this and that. But you traditionally don't think of that as like Colorado Springs. Right? You don't think you go downtown, park somewhere, and it's like, I'm going to window shop, essentially. Mm-hmm. Because it's not just the art, too. It's like all the restaurants that have come up, all the coffee shops that have come up. And especially as more people start living downtown, living and working downtown simultaneously, that's a big deal, too, because people living downtown need art, and they need places to go, and they need venues. I mean, traditionally, there's been venues downtown. You've had this or that nightclub. Like not good nightclubs, but bad ones.
Yeah. We needed some more, for lack of a better term, we needed some more wholesome, kind of family friendly.
The one you would bring Jesus to.
Well, I would absolutely take Jesus to some of the nightclubs, but still.
He would probably dig it, too, which is actually
I agree. I agree. Jesus needs to go see a burlesque show.
He does. Yeah. And it's like, all right, cut the sinning, okay? Just stop that. Anyway, there we go. Controversial podcast about Colorado Springs.
Yes. Well, and that's part of it is, because along with these art installations, these pieces of art that have been created, these sculptures, the murals that have been put on, just the sides of these buildings,
right,
are amazing. And some of the murals actually were commissioned by the people that own some of these buildings.
They enliven them, absolutely.
Well, but they also show the history of the building, of what the building used to be. There's the one on the side of the old Hibbard's department store, and it's got buttons and like and little tags, and just a really cool, and that's just an homage to the fact that this building used to be Hibbard's department store.
Sure.
Which was actually still in operation when I got here in Arizona.
Sorry, what year was that? Great year.
Yeah, it was a really good year.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was still in operation whenever I got here.
Mm-hmm.
And it was if you can imagine actually stepping into the movie version, a 1950s movie version of a department store.
Right.
That's what Hibbard's was.
Hello there, Mrs. Huxtable. How can I help you today?
Exactly.
Well, I'm looking for a shawl for my cat. Well, I'll be more than happy to help you, Mrs. Huxtable. Come right this way. I'll show you the listings.
Yes, it was an amazing place.
Okay.
But it was not well by the mid 80s, it had pretty much, that was not how people shopped anymore
Right.
in Colorado.
We don't have it here at Macy's, but Gimbals has it, and it's actually a little bit cheaper. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that didn't happen.
Okay. Sure. I sound like Conan O'Brien when he makes all his old timey references on his podcast. It's like,
and of course, we do have the Citadel Mall to blame for that, and the incoming of the Walmarts and all that kind of stuff. But with these,
I finished it.
By allowing these buildings to retain this piece of art that is a reminder of what it used to be,
right,
I think is fantastic. And all of this has been made possible because of Art on the Streets.
Mm-hmm.
They give out grants for some of these buildings to be painted.
So where does the Art on the Streets' money come from for like those grants? Is it like donation based?
Essentially, hold on, I can tell you.
I was gonna say, because I don't know if they're getting like state grants or something.
Well, if you go to downtown Colorado Springs or downtowncs.com,
mm-hmm.
there's actually a place you can go to see Art on the Streets.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a spot here that you can click. Let me see if it's going to tell me. Okay, now this does not tell me what I wanted it to tell me.
Aha. But presumably, like, they're getting donations. They're getting grants from other
donors. There's grants. There's that kind of thing.
Because speaking broadly to other art points that we've made in the past, like the other venues and like City Odd, the idea that art here has to thrive on philanthropy is a real bummer. Because then that means you're trying to find patrons that are willing to sponsor the arts. And that's a real heckin' bummer when it should be a municipal value that, we need art as much as we need roads.
And I'm looking at this thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
It's okay.
I'm looking at this thing, and essentially you can become a member of the Downtown Partnership.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be another bit of their funding is through membership. Dues for membership and all that kind of la-di-da.
Right.
And honestly, I think especially with something like this, it looks good for you to be part of this if you are a more moneyed resident.
If you want to be cool.
Of Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
Whether you agree with it or not. And that's really running a nonprofit myself. I fully understand. I don't really care who you are. Just give us money.
Yeah.
So we can do the things we need to do. Thank you. And it looks like it probably is funded somewhat as well. Maybe. Don't quote me on this because I could be very wrong. Please don't email the mayor because
the mayor does not care.
Well, because he's spending your tax money on arts.
Yeah.
But it does look like they get some money from the city itself.
Yeah.
Again,
they have.
Don't quote me. Don't email the mayor and yell.
Because I know they try and keep it off the books. It's like, we don't want to pay for art. And that, again, that's been a problem. And if you go to Downtown Colorado Springs Partnership, this is the entity that kind of overlooks everything, the culture of downtown.
Yes.
I'm sure they've also been a really big part of, because they do the City Center series, the State of Downtown report, stuff like that. But they'll do these luncheons and dinners where you're doing sponsorships and buying tables and stuff. And they do the different tiers. and some of these are like $10,000 a thing or $15,000 a thing here or what have you. And then you can, make your own individual sponsorships as well. But money's making around. But the big deal is that things like these can't happen overnight, right?
No,
you can't just flip a switch. I mean, I guess you could if you just had a bunch of money. You could say like, here's $1 billion. I mean, you look at the Carnegie libraries and things like that they did back when they were trying to launder their reputations as rich people destroying industry while creating it. But the idea is that this stuff takes a long time. So the Colorado Springs of the 90s, the downtown especially, because it's kind of emanating its way out, is not the same as it is today.
No.
And it's gradually changing, and it's going to get even better as time goes on. And so when you go downtown, when you see all these different art fixtures and all these art features, and you see more galleries popping up, and they're getting bigger and brighter all the time, and you're going on your art walk and seeing these things, it's exciting. It really is, to be able to be scooter distance or walking distance from this next thing, art all along the way, while you're looking at art as you're passing by art. Like, you can go up and down Pikes Peak, and there's just art every couple feet. It's really great.
Yeah, there's the really cool bits that on the retaining wall right here on Pikes Peak, right before it separates into Colorado.
Right.
What are
you're having a seizure right there?
I guess
epilepsy.
Something is happening here. Whatever it is, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've decided to not ask. I think just because the computer has decided that it wanted to rest today, and I wouldn't let it.
Yeah. There's also, you mentioned the Conejos, and they have the Conejos bridge on both sides underneath Colorado Avenue, and there are people it's like, you destroyed the neighborhood. I want the neighborhood back, because they knocked it down to make America the Beautiful Park.
Yes, they did.
And it's like,
which is another podcast.
Yeah, and it's like that's the murals under the bridge are like almost a consolation prize. Well, we knocked down your neighborhood, but we let an artist kind of come and celebrate, and they're beautiful murals.
They're fantastic.
I've walked past there and gotten to see them, and they're just absolutely beautiful. But it's it's better than nothing.
Let me have your house, and in exchange, I will give you the prize from this Cracker Jack box.
God, I know. But it's working downtown and walking around downtown and seeing all the stuff that's happening downtown. I'm really excited. The Downtown
100%.
Colorado Springs partnership has come so far in these past few decades to really enliven downtown and make it look pretty, because God, some of those buildings are so tragically ugly.
Well, we can talk about those later, because there's several that just need to be bulldozed and started over.
Yeah, and
no amount of art or paint is going to help them. They're just hideous and horrifying.
Yeah, they're absolutely out.
Yeah, but honestly, something I was not as aware of is, I've complained before about the two apartment complexes that are going up on either side of me. But that also, and there's a couple more that are going up on the other side of downtown. None of this would actually even be a possibility without what Art on the Streets has brought to downtown Colorado Springs. This has really become a place where people want to live,
right? Because
of its cultural richness at this point.
Yeah.
I know that again, you've done several of the First Fridays. I've done a couple of the First Fridays. And it is a joy to walk out your door and be greeted with art, and to walk just the most unusual places that they're allowing and encouraging artists to put things.
Yeah, and installing art.
It's you know, my some of my favorites are the kind of more graffiti-esque little hidden artworks. I shared one a couple months ago that I found in a parking lot.
It was like the one in progress nearby, right?
Well, no, that one is actually done. That's the one
Okay.
on the Cricket building and stuff.
Yeah.
No, the little alien guy.
Okay.
And come to find out, that was actually not a commissioned piece, but that was an allowed piece to just get stuck on the wall.
Huh.
And I really love that part of it, is the little hidden, you know, oh, okay, there's an art in a parking lot.
Yeah.
That whole aspect of it. And you know, there's the one over on Palmer High School that is that one has RBG and Kamala and I can't remember. But anyway,
But some really good art. Just
yes, it's a really
everywhere.
Cool, it's a really cool art piece, and so I highly recommend it if you're in the Springs, which you should be because you're listening to us.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this is very hyper local podcast. Yeah.
Get in your car, come downtown, and park, and just walk.
Yes.
Walk the streets, because you are going to find the coolest things, the coolest art hiding in an alley. I mean, I don't really recommend going down all the alleys.
We'll go during the daylight.
Yeah. Take a friend.
Yeah, take a friend. Strengthen numbers. And that's not to say like it's dangerous or anything. It's just like, you know, just be cautious in dense urban scenarios. You know, that's really it. So.
Yes, it's SSDGM.
Yes.
Stay sexy, don't get murdered.
Oh, yes. Perfect. I do that every day. And here I am. Well, cool.
So that was from another podcast.
Oh, fantastic.
One of my very favorite murder podcasts.
Oh. Which one?
Because I'm a white woman over the age of 40.
Oh,
so
okay.
I listen to the true crime.
Oh, okay.
It's actually called My Favorite Murder.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Stay sexy, don't get murdered. Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Stay sexy, don't get murdered. So if you ever see anything on like someone's car and it's just SSDGM, that's what that is. For.
Perfect.
Yes. So ta-da. Okay, wrap up.
Yeah,
let's see. Wrap up. Go downtown. Look at the arts. There's actually a place on the downtown CS Art on the Streets website where you can vote for the People's Choice winner of the art. That is, you know, the new art. And that artist wins $1,000.
Oh, cool.
And actually is also chosen to become a part of the regular art scene.
Well, cool. Yeah, because you can have
it's people powered.
The more the merrier, all the time.
Yeah,
especially 100%. When it comes to art.
Yeah. So yeah, go downtown, park, walk, pop into some of the galleries. These gallery owners are always happy to have a conversation.
Oh yeah.
And if nothing else, it gives you the opportunity to support local artists, which we're all about here.
Yes.
The local, all the things, except the local bougie grocery store. But we'll talk about that.
Food deserts in Colorado Springs coming soon.
Bring a snack, you're gonna need it.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to buy one here.
Yeah. So real quick, I was actually thinking about that because I'll get off at the bus terminal, and it's like I could really use like a soda or something, a diet soda. And it's like, where the hell do I go? And there's a 7-Eleven way past my office, but like right in the middle of downtown, because where was that 7-Eleven that was there?
The 7-Eleven was right there on the corner of, I think it was it might have been Pikes Peak and Tejon.
That would have been really convenient.
It was.
That's a really convenient spot, and I realized that it was like
Yeah.
getting vandalized and stuff like that. Like the
Oh yeah, it was not great. Which is annoying because that's well, anyway.
Anyway,
Again,
but yeah,
different
that's all
podcast.
tangent. But yeah, that's a whole podcast. But yeah, anyway, come downtown, visit the arts, and then we'll get more arts. And I love you, puppy, but not right now.
Yes.
Emily, you want to get us out of here?
Absolutely. Badly Needed and Long Overdue is a podcast about shaking things up in a conservative city. This show was hosted by Nick Raven and Emily Lewis. Me. You can watch the video version of this show on YouTube and listen to us in podcast form everywhere you find your podcasts. Just look for us. We're there. Our theme music is by the Knockblockers, our local ska band. Very awesome. Highly recommend you go find them on social media and try to make it to a live show. You can reach us on a whole bunch of different social media platforms, like Instagram, Badly Needed Podcast, on Twitter at Badly Needed COS. That's capital COS. On Facebook at Badly Needed and Long Overdue Podcast. And since Nick has finally created our first TikTok, you can find us on TikTok at Badly Needed Podcast. There will be more content, I promise.
You could find us there before, or there wasn't anything there.
Yeah, there was nothing there.
Yeah.
But now there's something there for you to watch and
Yay.
enjoy. Ta-da! All right, Nick.
All right. Well, we're Badly Needed and Long Overdue, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Choo, 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 choo.
Ah.